Hi guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for clicking on any of my videos. I do sincerely appreciate your time. I've got a tutorial for you today and one finished project and one project that's in transit. So I started working on this stitch called the box cluster stitch, and I started working with my Wool of the Andes yarn. This was yarn that I bought at a fiber event, and that was dyed this beautiful sort of bright blue pops in here with some whites and browns, and then the outside kind of got super dark. So it is a gorgeous yarn color wise, but it's really itchy. And Kristen, I'm sorry, I bought somebody some of this for graduation, and I did not care for the yarn as much, and I didn't realize what it was until after I got home that I'd already used some and didn't like it, and I just got caught up in the colors and stuff. So I thought I'd go ahead and give it a try for this project, and it didn't work, so I'm cutting it early and changing what it is. So as you can see, here's where the yarn started out with that gorgeous blue that was so much more solid, and then it starts to fade out, change out a little bit, I should say, and you're getting all those other beautiful colors. So there's a pattern on here that you can't really tell, you can't really see because it's just lost in the yarn too much. So I sneezed and rubbed my nose and itched like crazy while I was working with this. It's a Peruvian yarn, or Wool of the Andes is the name, from Knit Picks, and I bought some bare and dyed it and then didn't like it, and so I already knew, and this was not labeled, but I did ask the woman when I was buying it and still didn't put the two and two together. So again, Kristen, I'm sorry if you don't care for the yarn that I sent to you. But anyway, so I've got two skeins of this, and I thought I'd go ahead and make up a scarf with this project, with this pattern, and because it was so itchy just even working with it, I decided to call it quits. So it's this little panel is what I've got, and I thought maybe I could just sew up the edges and make it a small little crossbody bag or something. I'm just not pleased with it at all. If you can get in there and see, it's a really pretty colorway, but man, oh man, I was not enjoying it. So I have a couple of other purses that I have finished the bag part, and I just need to make the straps. You guys saw this one. This one I made a strap on, and this one. And then the bigger one is here. I don't want to do all my ends. I still need to figure out a handle for these. Remember this one? I love this so much. I just have to figure out what my handles are going to be for it. So anyway, this is going to have to go into that pile as well to be a little purse that I end up figuring out what my straps are going to be later. It's okay. I don't mind so much. I used a 4mm hook with that. So, because that is a sport weight yarn. It's a 2-weight. Whoops, my yarn's hooked on here. Okay. So then the next project, I decided I really still wanted to work with this stitch and come up with something. And I started to make this for the tutorial, and then the tutorial was all goofed up, so I've got to refilm that. And so I ended up just finishing the scarf. So this yarn that I used was, and my hook, my J hook, this is Vanna's Baby. It's like Vanna's Choice, but it's a baby, and I don't know what difference it is. It looks very much just like the same, just like Vanna's Choice yarn. So here's my scarf on this. It's wingspan, arm to arm, and I think you can see the pattern so much more easily on this yarn than you could on the variegated. So the way that the book gives you the stitch is that it includes rows of solid double crochets, and then every other space, chain one, skip one, and then a solid row, and then this is the row with the boxed cluster stitch on it. So I am going to do another tutorial. I am going to break out now and go ahead and show this to you. So here's another look at what that pattern looks like when it's worked with a solid color yarn. You can see those clusters throughout their rows. But with the variegated, you miss it completely. It's completely lost. It just settles right into the work. You can't even see it at all. So why do all that work with a variegated yarn? So I would highly suggest you use a solid color yarn for this project. You can use any yarn to make any kind of project. You know, just grab the corresponding hook size that goes with that yarn. And our multiple is going to be a multiple of 8. So like for this scarf, I did 3 multiples. So I'm going to chain 24, and then we add 3 more chains at the end. So go ahead and get your starting chain going. You're going to do multiples of 8 plus 3, and I'll meet you back. All right, I've got my 27 chains, and what we're going to do for the first stitch is a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. Let me come in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. In that 4th chain from the hook, we're going to do a double crochet. And then we're going to do a double crochet in the next 6 stitches. So here's 1, 2, oops. This is yarn that I just received in a lot. I purchased a yarn lot off of eBay, and it had this acrylic yarn in there. I've not worked it before, but it's kind of squeaky. I can hear it and feel it kind of squeaking along. So, all right, did I get 6 more? Let's double count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 1 more. Okay, so our project, our groupings are going to be a group of 7 for each of the stitch patterns. And that is going to be on every grouping, except the ends are going to have 1 more double crochet on the edge. So we're not going to count this first chain 3 here. That's going to be our edge piece. So we want 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. After our grouping of 7, we're going to chain 1 and skip 1, and then start another 7. So we're going to skip this one here, and in that next one, I'm going to do another 7 double crochets in a row, 1 in each, until I get my next group of 7. So there's 2, oops, here's 3, there's 4. I didn't realize how well it would match my nail polish. I hope that's not a distraction for you all. Here's 5, 6, and 7. And then after our 7, I always like to double check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, especially on this foundation, you know, on your first row here, that's setting your count for the rest of the project. So now we're going to do another chain 1, skip 1 like we did here. And then for me, this is my last grouping of 7. So I'm going to go ahead and get going on 1, oops, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, I need some more yarn. Here's my 6th. Oops. And number 7. And then I should have 1 more after that for my end piece. So there is 1 more stitch here. I'm going to put a double crochet in that last stitch. So it doesn't matter how wide your project is. You can make a blanket out of this if you'd like. And you're just going to have on your end group, you're going to have an 8th one, but all your other groupings are going to be 7 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, 7 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, and you'll have this window that works itself all the way up your project, all the way up. So when you are at the end of your row, don't forget you need 1 more double crochet in that last one for an 8th, and then we're going to turn our work. All right, so for round 2, we're going to start with a double crochet on the edge here. So whether you like to do a chain 3 or a standing double crochet or a mock double crochet, whatever you like to do there, we're going to do that now to grow your next row up. And personally, I prefer a chain 2 and I just make them a little bit longer so that they're the height of a double crochet. Okay, that's just my preference. It's, you do what you like to do for your edge stitches. So now we have to continue the project in a count of 7. We're not counting this edge stitch, and throughout the rest of these you're not going to have that edge stitch. So 7 is the magic number. So from the first of the 7, we're going to do a double crochet in this next stitch. That's number 1 of 7. Number 2 of 7, we're going to do a double crochet also. All right. For number 3 of 7, we're going to do a chain 1, skip 1. So we're going to skip this one down here, and we're going to do a double crochet in stitch number 4 of our 7. Okay. So this is what you look like now. So now what we're going to do for the stitch number 5 is the box cluster around this double crochet. So just act like you're doing a double crochet, yarn over, and you're going to go around that double crochet that you just made, and you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. So you should have 2 loops left on your hook. We're going to do that action another 2 times. So yarn over, go around your stitch, pull up a loop, grab your yarn over and pull through 2. So we got 3 loops. Do it one more time, yarn over, go around your stitch, yarn over and pull through 2. So now we've got 4 loops on the hook, and that we're going to yarn over and pull through all of that. And that's going to count as number 5 of your 7. So this is the stitch where the double crochet went in, and then this is the stitch where the cluster went. So we have to skip this next stitch along our row here because this stitch accounted for that. So once we skip that, we're going to have 2 more left for our 7, and those will both get a double crochet. Oops. And then we're going to be at the window between the groupings of 7. So again, not counting your edge stitch because we're not going to count the edge stitch. You've got your group of 7, and then a chain 1, skip 1 for this window. And then we're going to repeat that row of 7, chain 1, skip 1 over this window. Okay, so we'll do that one more time, or I'll just show you that again. So there's our yarn, our chain 1 that we're going to skip over this window. And here starts our 7 pattern again. So the 7 is a double crochet in number 1, a double crochet in number 2, a chain 1, skip 1 for number 3, number 4 is the double crochet, number 5, here's our box cluster stitch again. So just act like you're doing double crochets. You're going to yarn over and go around your double crochet that you just made, yarn over and pull through 2, leaves 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go around your double crochet, pull through 2, you've got 3 loops on the hook. Start another double crochet, pull through 2, that leaves you with 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all of that. Then we need to skip this bottom stitch because this accounts for that. That's going to give us our 5th stitch. So you've got this one skipped, and then we've got a double crochet in the next 2. And then we are back to our chain 1, skip 1 over the window. That's going to run up the whole length of the pattern. And then we're going to start our count again. So double crochet in the first 2. I need some more yarn. We are going to chain 1, skip 1 for number 3. Number 4 is the double crochet. Number 5 is going to be that box cluster that goes around the double crochet. Remember, we're going to do that action 3 times, so it should result in 4 loops remaining on our hook. Here's the 3rd time. You can go through all 4, and then don't forget to skip 1 down here or you'll be off on your count. So our 7, we need to do another 2 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And because I'm on the edge of my project, I'm going to have 1 more double crochet to do. Now for me, you've heard me say this before, if you turn this to find your 2 loops as normal, it turns that stitch out a little bit and will create a gap here. So as I come along and I find this is kind of the back end of my work, the back end of my stitch here, I'm just going to stab down into it. Whoops, I need a double crochet. I'm just going to stab down into it to keep that stitch lined up properly. All right. So here's where you can see, if you're not counting, oops, a little hair. If you're not counting that edge stitch, we've got our 7 here, which is double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, the box cluster around that double crochet, and then we skip that stitch in the row, and then a double crochet in the last 2 of the 7. So from here, it's really up to you whether you want to continue like the pattern showed me in the book. The example of the stitch in the book shows you a solid row, and then a cluster row, and then a solid row, and then you just chain 1, skip 1 all the way through, and then a solid row, and then a cluster row. Or you can just continue. Maybe you don't want the spacings and you just want to do solid cluster rows. So let's do that. So I'm going to do 2 chains as my edge piece because that's what I prefer to do. And now I should have 7 stitches that I need a double crochet in. So here's my first one, 2, second one, oops. And then here's what the top of the work looks like. So remember, this is actually the top of the cluster where we pulled through the 4 loops on our hook. That's going to be our 3rd stitch across. And then the double crochet itself, that stitch is just here. So that's 4 in a row. Then we've got our chain 1, skip 1 from before. So I just go into the space. You don't need to go into the chain. There's 5, 6, and 7. We've got those last 2. Oops. All right. So then from there, there's our 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From there, we're going to chain 1, skip 1 to go over the window. That's the whole length of the project. And then we'll do another 7. And 7 is easy enough to count while you're watching TV if you're paying attention and so forth. You can do 7 rather easily. I hate to have to count, up to 20 stitches or something like that. So again, your first 2 are double crochets. Those are easy enough to see. If you turn that box cluster up sideways like this, you can see 1 here for the cluster stitch. We're just going to go in like this. That's our double crochet. And then you'll see 1 here. This is the double crochet that we put in. And then we're going to have our chain just go around the space. And then 2 more for that 7 count. Oops. And then we've got our window to do a chain 1, skip 1 all the way through the project. And then I've got my last 7 grouping. So boy, I'm going through a lot of yarn. I have to keep stopping to pull it out. It's not friendly feed, that's for sure. Okay, so there's my first of 7. Here's number 2 of 7. And then again, just turn that up slightly and you can see that cluster stitch here. That's 3 of 7. The double crochet itself, just here. That's 4 of 7. The space is 5. And then I should have 2 more. 6 and 7. And then here's my end piece again. I'm just going to stab right down into it. I'm not going to turn the stitch because I don't want a space in there. So it's fun to be able to, change it up, whether you want to do every other row to be this cluster row and then solids like this, or if you do want to incorporate a chain row where it's just a double crochet, chain one, skip one all the way through. I enjoyed that as well. Let's do one more cluster row because I would like to. All right, so do your chains on your end or your standing or your mock or whatever you're doing over here. And then our 7 count. So the first of 7 is a double crochet. The second of 7 is a double crochet. The third is a chain one, skip one. The fourth, here's where skipping. The fourth is the double crochet. Oops. The fifth is the cluster, the box cluster. So start like a double crochet, go around that double crochet you just made, yarn over and just pull through 2 and stop, and do that 2 more times so that you have a total of 4 loops on your hook. After you've got the 4 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through all, and that will be the 5th stitch of the 7. So remember, you have to skip one down here. Here's where our double crochet was. We're going to skip this one and go right into the 6th of the 7 with a double crochet, and the 7th of the 7 with a double crochet. And then from here, you're just going to chain one, skip one over the window, and then repeat your pattern of 7. Double crochet. Oops. Oh, stop. Double crochet. Double crochet. Chain one, skip one. Double crochet. Now work around that stitch with your box cluster stitch. Pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And these loops can get a little wonky if your tension isn't right. So if you don't care, that's fine. If you do, then just take a little bit more time and go a little bit more slowly on that section. Whoops. So here's our 4. We're going to yarn over and pull through all of that. Don't forget, we've got to skip that next stitch and then just go into the last 2 with a double crochet. Oops. And then we see our chain one, skip one on that last window. We're going to do, for me, this is my last repeat on this row. We're going to do 2 double crochets, chain one, skip one, double crochet, work the box cluster, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now you've got 4 to pull through. Don't forget to skip this one and do a double crochet in the last 2. And then I've got my end stitch, my end double crochet, whatever it is you'd like to do there. All right, and that is how this is turning out. So feel free to incorporate chain one, skip one rows completely, windows like this. It's up to you how you want to interact or interchange the solid rows and the cluster rows, those box clusters. But yeah, that's what those box clusters are going to look like. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Let me know if you work out any projects with this. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Alrighty guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing how that stitches worked. You can put it in any type of a project. You can make the project as long or as narrow as you'd like. You can, change up the rows, whether they're solids or box clusters, through the entire project you could do. So I hope that lights some sort of, creative thought in your brain, and you've got your next project ahead of you. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I do sincerely appreciate you. Have a wonderfully blessed day, and I do hope you'll come back and see me again. Thank you. Bye-bye.